All right, Raiders Nation, buckle up, because today we are diving deep into the chaos, the confusion, and the unfiltered reality of where our beloved Las Vegas Raiders stand right now. If you thought things were going smoothly, think again, because the truth is, this team is a mess, and it's impossible to sugarcoat it. From the start of the season, we've seen flashes, yes, but overall it's been a brutal grind. We started the year with a win against New England, and while that felt like a glimmer of hope, the reality quickly set in. This is a team struggling to find its identity, and week after week, it's been painfully obvious just how far we are from competing at the level we expect. Watching Pete Carroll's latest presser was, frankly, a surreal experience. The way he spoke made it sound like the Raiders are a well-oiled machine, when in reality, we're a 2-10 football team barely holding it together. Cupcakes, butterflies, and rainbows were not what I expected to hear. We've beaten the Tennessee Titans since week 1, and yet, according to that presser, everything is just fine, like there's nothing to worry about. But the tape tells a very different story. The Raiders have looked disorganized, overmatched, and at times, completely lost on the field. Listening to the press conference, you could almost believe that we are a team on the rise, rather than a squad fighting to survive every game. Geno Smith, despite flashes of competence, has struggled both on and off the field, and yet the questions asked by beat reporters seemed carefully curated to avoid any real accountability. I mean, let's be honest. Fans want honesty, they want real answers, and they want to see someone in that room challenge the coach and the team when things are going south. Instead, it felt like we were watching a rehearsal. Questions on Max Crosby were tossed around like softballs, when the reality is that the larger issues on this team extend far beyond one player. We're talking about a quarterback who hasn't lived up to expectations, an offensive line that's consistently underperforming, and a team that feels like it's been thrown into a rebuild without a clear roadmap. It's exhausting just watching it. And if Pete Carroll looks tired, it's because he is. This team is a newborn, a project that requires constant attention, and it's impossible not to notice that even the head coach seems overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of the task. The way he spoke, trying to sell optimism, made it obvious that he himself is struggling to grasp solutions, and that disconnect is palpable for anyone paying attention. What frustrates me even more is the media circus around it all. Beat reporters have a responsibility to ask the hard questions, to hold coaches accountable, and to actually reflect the pulse of the fans. Unfortunately, it seems like many of them have lost touch. Instead of challenging Pete Carroll or digging into the real issues, they focus on safe, surface-level questions that add no real insight. It's no wonder fans turn to alternative content creators, to YouTubers, and independent analysts who are unafraid to speak their minds. This disconnect between official media coverage and the reality of what's happening on the field has never been more evident. Fans are desperate for transparency, for someone to articulate the obvious frustrations that exist across the organization. And yet, week after week, it feels like their voices are filtered out, sanitized, and presented in a way that does nothing to address the real problems. Let's break down the issues a little further. Geno Smith has been a polarizing figure all season. His body language on and off the field has been questionable, and there have been multiple incidents where he has visibly frustrated fans, from flipping off supporters to seemingly ignoring critical situations. These are not small concerns. They are indicative of a quarterback who is struggling to lead, and yet the narrative around him often feels overly cautious or even protective. Meanwhile, the offensive line is collapsing under pressure, allowing far too many sacks, and failing to provide the stability necessary for any quarterback to thrive. JPJ's absence has been glaring, and the lack of proactive adjustments is baffling. There's a strategic inconsistency that is hard to ignore. Players aren't being utilized properly, substitutions seem reactive rather than calculated, and it leaves fans questioning whether the coaching staff is capable of making the right calls in critical moments. And then there's the issue of communication and preparation. Pete Carroll admitted that he hasn't spoken to the team in a while, which is concerning for a group already struggling to find its rhythm. How is it possible that a head coach, a leader of this organization, hasn't taken the time to directly engage with his players? It raises questions about priorities and leadership, And for fans watching week after week, it adds to the growing sense of frustration and confusion. The mental state of the team appears scattered, and the culture, the mentality that Carroll references, seems more aspirational than actual. Fans are not naive. They can see when optimism is being used to mask deeper structural issues. Saying that the mentality of the group is worth fighting for is one thing, but showing it through performance and accountability is another, and the Raiders are falling short on both counts. The reality is this season has been a grind not just for the players, but for anyone trying to follow the team. Watching the games, analyzing the plays, and then listening to pressers where the surface-level commentary does not match the chaos on the field is infuriating. Beat reporters, for their part, have an opportunity to bridge that gap, to ask the questions fans are thinking about, and to push the coaching staff for clarity and direction. Instead, many stick to formulas and safe questions, ignoring the deeper issues that plague this roster. The fans are left feeling unheard and ignored, and that disconnect grows with every poorly guided press conference. It's not just about wins and losses. It's about accountability, honesty, and a commitment to the team and its supporters. And right now, it feels like those values are being overlooked in favor of appearances. Even when discussing potential solutions, the responses are lacking. Should there be a quarterback change? Should Aiden O'Connell see more playtime? Why is Kenny Pickett not getting opportunities? Why hasn't the offensive line been adjusted to better protect our struggling quarterback? These are not radical or unreasonable questions. They are logical, essential, and necessary for understanding the trajectory of this season. Fans deserve clarity, and it's the media's job to demand it. Yet time and again, those opportunities are missed. The lack of urgency, the lack of depth in questioning, and the focus on trivial points only amplify the frustration that has been building throughout this difficult season. Ultimately, Raiders Nation, the key takeaway here is that we are witnessing a team in full rebuild mode, led by a coach who is overextended, a quarterback who is underperforming, and a media that is failing to ask the hard questions. The disconnect between what fans see and what is discussed publicly is growing. It's only through honest, unfiltered questioning and analysis that any meaningful progress can begin to take shape. The challenges are immense, from player performance to coaching strategy to leadership accountability. And unless these issues are addressed with seriousness, the 2-10 record is likely to continue being a reflection of deeper, systemic problems within the organization. Fans want answers, they want transparency, and they want someone in the room to finally ask the questions that matter, rather than recycling the same easy, inconsequential queries. The frustration is real, and it is justified. As we move forward through the season, it is clear that the Raiders need more than surface-level optimism. They need critical thinking, decisive action, and a willingness to confront the uncomfortable truths about the team's performance and direction. The hope that remains is fragile, and it can only be nurtured through honest discourse, tough questioning, and an unwavering commitment to accountability. It's time for the organization, the coaching staff, and the media covering the Raiders to recognize that fans are not passive observers. They are deeply invested, passionate, and entitled to clarity about the present and the future of this franchise. This is only the first step in dissecting the mess that is the current Raiders season. There's so much more to unpack, from individual player performance to broader organizational strategy, and the critical questions that must be asked to steer this team back toward credibility. As fans, we have every right to demand accountability and transparency, and as analysts, we have a responsibility to voice these concerns and ensure they are heard. The disconnect between what is being said publicly and what is occurring on the field is stark, and until that gap is addressed, Raiders Nation will continue to feel the frustration and uncertainty that has defined this season so far. All right, Raiders Nation, let's continue diving into the chaos that has become the Las Vegas Raiders season, because the more you peel back the layers, the more you realize just how much is going wrong behind the scenes, and it all comes down to accountability, strategy, and leadership. One of the biggest frustrations for fans this season has been watching Geno Smith struggle, not just on the field, but in his approach to the game and his interaction with the fan base. It's not just about interceptions or missed throws. It's about body language, about moments where you see a disconnect between the effort expected and the effort displayed. Fans have been vocal, visible, and consistently passionate, yet the responses from the team, both in behavior and communication, often feel dismissive. When a quarterback visibly disregards the concerns of the fan base, it creates tension, it creates a gap between the team and its supporters, and right now, that gap is widening faster than any win streak could ever close it. And that's where the questions start piling up. Why is Geno still the starter when the on-field performance and off-field attitude have created so much negative energy? Why hasn't the coaching staff done more to either correct or address these issues in a visible way? The silence, the lack of clarity, and the recycled talking points in press conferences only fuel the fire for frustrated fans, making it feel like the organization is more concerned with appearances than results. The offensive line has also been a major point of contention, and rightfully so. Over the past 4 weeks alone, the Raiders have allowed 26 sacks, a statistic that speaks volumes about the lack of cohesion and preparation in protecting the quarterback. JPJ's absence has been felt in ways that can't be overstated, and the mismanagement of the interior line has turned simple pass plays into high-stakes gambles. The communication breakdown between the line and the quarterback is apparent, and when you combine that with questionable coaching decisions, it's no surprise that the Raiders have struggled to create momentum in any game. Defensive players have had to compensate, often unsuccessfully, and the imbalance created on both sides of the ball has only magnified the weaknesses. Fans see it, analysts see it, and yet the explanations offered publicly tend to focus on small victories or isolated plays rather than addressing the systemic failures that have led to the team's current record. Then there's the issue of player utilization, which is baffling in its complexity and lack of transparency. Aiden O'Connell has consistently been labeled the emergency quarterback, despite growing calls from fans to see him take on a more prominent role. Kenny Pickett, meanwhile, is present but sidelined in a way that raises questions about decision-making and priorities. These choices feel less like strategic moves and more like cautious attempts to avoid accountability or criticism, which in itself is maddening because it suggests a level of fear or indecision within the coaching staff. The team is in full rebuild mode, yet the approach to player development and rotation seems reactive, hesitant, and lacking in any forward-thinking strategy that could provide clarity for the future. Fans can sense when decisions are made out of convenience rather than conviction, and that perception further erodes trust and confidence in the leadership. Leadership, or the lack thereof, is another recurring theme. Pete Carroll's presser left more questions than answers, as he discussed the mentality of the group without providing tangible steps or accountability measures. There's a stark difference between inspiring words and actionable leadership, and Raiders Nation is painfully aware that optimism alone does not win football games. When a head coach admits he hasn't even spoken to the team recently, it raises serious concerns about the level of engagement and oversight being exercised. Leadership at the NFL level demands consistency, presence, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable realities head-on. And right now, the evidence suggests that the Raiders are missing several of those critical components. Fans are not just watching games. They're observing patterns, behavior, and communication, and the lack of alignment between what is said publicly and what happens on the field leaves everyone questioning the commitment to meaningful improvement. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers have been swirling through the NFL corridors, and it seems the buzz has finally found a focal point. Javvante Williams, the former standout running back, whose name has sparked debates and speculation since his college days, is reportedly making a move that could shake up the Raiders' offensive landscape. While official channels remain tight-lipped, sources close to the situation suggest that Williams has signed with the Las Vegas franchise, sending ripples through both fans and analysts alike. For years, Williams' blend of power, agility, and breakaway speed has made him a tantalizing talent. Injuries have slowed his momentum in the league, but whispers in locker rooms and sports circles hint that the Raiders may be banking on his untapped potential. Some insiders claim that the team's coaching staff sees him as the missing piece to invigorate their ground game, bringing a dynamic punch that could force opposing defenses to rethink their schemes. The buzz doesn't stop there. Social media is already lighting up with speculation about how Williams might fit into the Raiders roster. Some suggest a tandem backfield strategy, pairing him with established veterans to maximize versatility. Others hint at the possibility of feature-back role, imagining him barreling through defensive lines and shifting the team's offensive rhythm. Analysts are divided, but one thing is certain: excitement is brewing. Even among players, chatter is growing. Rumor has it that teammates are intrigued by the potential addition, with some quietly expressing optimism about the energy and physicality Williams could bring. Scouts and commentators are dissecting his every highlight, projecting how his skills could translate into the Raiders' playbook. Speculative debates are raging about whether this could be the renaissance moment Williams has been seeking and whether the Raiders are making a calculated gamble that could pay off handsomely. While the ink on any contract is rumored to be fresh, the implications are already rippling across the NFL landscape. Fans are debating, insiders are whispering, and sports talk shows are lighting up with speculation. Whether this move signals a new era for the Raiders' offense or simply another chapter in Williams' journey, one thing is clear: all eyes are on Las Vegas, waiting to see if this rumor turns into a game-changing reality. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.